Jake Murphy wiped the grease from his hands and looked out the large window of Meridian Station. The red planet Mars spun slowly below him, its dusty surface catching the light from the distant sun. He had been working on human ships for 15 years, but he never got tired of the view. The repair station was busy today. 3 cargo ships waited in line for engine fixes, and 2 military vessels needed new weapon systems. Jake's team of engineers worked around the clock to keep the ships flying. It was honest work, and Jake took pride in it. His assistant, Danny Rodriguez, ran up to him holding a communication device. Danny's face looked worried and excited at the same time. "Boss, you need to hear this," Danny said, breathing hard. "We just got a call from something big." Jake took the device and pressed the button. A strange voice filled with clicking sounds came through the speaker. The universal translator worked hard to make sense of the alien language. "Human Station, this is Captain Vex the Corvain of the Zephyrian warship Stellar Dominion. We require immediate docking for emergency repairs." Jake dropped the device. Danny caught it before it hit the floor. They stared at each other with wide eyes. A Zephyrian ship asking for human help had never happened before. Ever. The Zephyrians were famous across the galaxy for 2 things. First, they had the most advanced technology anyone had ever seen. Their ships could cross star systems in days, not months. Their weapons could destroy entire planets. Second, they thought all other species were stupid, especially humans. Jake picked up the device again. "This is Chief Engineer Jake Murphy. Are you sure you want to dock here? The nearest Zephyrian station is only 3 days away." The alien voice came back, but this time it sounded angry. "Human, our engines are failing. We will not reach any Zephyrian facility. We request emergency docking now." Danny ran to get Station Commander Lisa Grant. She arrived 5 minutes later, still wearing her sleep clothes. Lisa had been in charge of Meridian Station for 8 years, but she had never dealt with anything like this. "Jake, is this real?" she asked, taking the communication device. "Captain Corvain, this is Commander Lisa Grant. We will prepare a docking bay for your ship. Please send us your technical specifications so we can help you." There was a long pause. Then the alien voice came back, quieter than before. "We will send the basic information only. Our technology is not for human eyes." 20 minutes later, the largest ship Jake had ever seen appeared outside the station. The Stellar Dominion was 5 times bigger than any human vessel. Its hull shined like silver, and strange lights moved along its surface in patterns that hurt to look at. The ship was beautiful and terrible at the same time. The docking process took 2 hours. Zephyrian ships were not built to connect with human stations. Jake's team had to build special connectors and modify the docking bay. The whole time, they could feel the alien crew watching them through the ship's windows. When the airlock finally opened, Captain Corvain stepped onto the station. He was 7 feet tall with green-scaled skin and yellow eyes that seemed to glow in the station's lights. He wore a uniform made from some material that looked like liquid metal. Behind him came 3 other Zephyrians, all carrying weapons. Jake walked forward to greet them. He had never seen a Zephyrian up close before. The captain's presence filled the docking bay, making Jake feel very small. "I am Captain Vex the Corvain," the alien said. His voice was deep and had a strange musical quality. "I command the finest warship in the Zephyrian fleet. The fact that I must ask for human assistance brings great shame to my family name." Lisa stepped beside Jake. "Captain, we're honored to help. Our engineers are the best in human space." The captain's eyes moved from Lisa to Jake, then to the other humans gathering around them. His expression showed what he thought of human engineers. "Show us to your engines," Jake said, trying to sound professional. "We need to see what's wrong before we can help." Captain Corvain led them through corridors that seemed to be made of light itself. The walls glowed with soft colors, and the floor felt warm under their feet. Everything was smooth and perfect, like it had been grown instead of built. The engine room was amazing. Huge crystals floated in the air, spinning slowly and humming with power. Energy flowed between them in streams of pure light. Jake had studied alien technology, but seeing it in person was completely different. "These are quantum drives," Captain Corvain explained. They fold space itself to move our ship faster than light. The technology is beyond human understanding. Danny looked at the floating crystals with wonder. It's beautiful, he whispered. Kate Sullivan, the station's best mechanic, crawled under one of the drives with her scanner. She was not impressed by the beauty. She wanted to know how it worked. The problem is here, she called out, pointing to a dark crystal that had stopped spinning. This one is cracked and the energy flow is blocked. Captain Corvain moved to see what she had found. Impossible. Our crystals do not crack. They are perfect. Kate showed him the scanner readings. Well, this one did. And when it cracked, it damaged the energy flow to the other drives. That's why your ship is losing power. The captain stared at the broken crystal. His perfect technology had failed, and now he needed help from humans he considered primitive. Jake looked at his team. They had repaired thousands of ships, but never anything like this. The Zephyrian technology was more advanced than anything they had seen. But a broken part was still a broken part, no matter how fancy it looked. We can fix this, Jake said, confidently. It might not be pretty, but we can make it work. Captain Corvain turned to face him. Human, you do not understand. This is not some simple human machine. This is technology that your species will not invent for 1,000 years. Jake smiled. Captain, I've been fixing things since I was 10 years old. I don't need to understand how it was made, I just need to understand how it broke. The alien captain looked at Jake for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Very well, human. But if you damage my ship further, I will hold you personally responsible. Jake picked up his toolbox. It was time to show the galaxy what human engineers could do. Jake Murphy spent the next 6 hours studying the broken Zephyrian crystal. He had never seen anything like it before. The crystal was made from some kind of material that seemed to exist in several dimensions at once. When he looked at it straight on, it appeared solid. But when he moved his head, parts of it seemed to fade away like smoke. Kate Sullivan worked beside him, running every scan she could think of. Her equipment was basic compared to Zephyrian technology, but she was good at finding problems. The crack goes all the way through, she said, pointing to her scanner. But it's not just broken in our dimension, it's broken in whatever other dimensions this thing exists in too. Danny Rodriguez looked confused. What does that mean? It means we can't just glue it back together, Jake explained. We need to replace the whole crystal. Captain Corvain had been watching them work without saying much. Now he stepped forward, with a worried expression on his scaled face. That is not possible, the captain said. These crystals are grown in the heart of our home star. The process takes 50 years. The nearest replacement crystal is at the Zephyrian supply depot in the Arcturus system. Jake did some quick math in his head. That's 4 weeks away at best speed. Yes, Captain Corvain replied, and my ship must be operational in 3 days. We are supposed to escort the Galactic peace convoy through pirate space. Without our protection, the diplomatic mission will fail. Lisa Grant joined their conversation. She had been talking to her superiors on Earth about the situation. Captain, we want to help, but we don't have any Zephyrian crystals. We barely understand how they work. Jake stared at the broken crystal for a long time. An idea was forming in his mind, but it was crazy. So crazy that it might actually work. What if we don't replace it? He said finally. Everyone turned to look at him. Captain Corvain's eyes narrowed dangerously. What do you mean, human? What if we build a bridge around the broken crystal, something that can carry the energy flow without going through the crack? Kate caught on quickly. Like a bypass system. We use it in human ships all the time when main power lines get damaged. Captain Corvain looked horrified. You cannot modify a quantum drive with primitive human technology. The energy frequencies are too complex. Your crude metals will not survive the quantum fields. Ben Carter, the youngest engineer on Jake's team, had been quiet until now. He was only 25, but he had a gift for seeing solutions that others missed. What if we don't use crude metals? Ben said. What if we use smart metals? The kind that can change their properties based on what they need to do? Jake's eyes lit up. Adaptive alloys. We use them in our newest ships for hull repairs. It will not work, Captain Corvain insisted. Human technology is too simple. It cannot interface with quantum systems. Dr. Amy Foster arrived at that moment. She was the station's chief scientist and the smartest person Jake knew. She had been studying the Zephyrian ship's technical data for hours. Actually, it might work, she said, carrying a tablet full of calculations. I've been analyzing your quantum drive system, Captain. It's incredibly efficient, but it has a weakness. Captain Corvain straightened up, offended. Our technology has no weaknesses. It has no backup systems, Amy continued calmly. Everything is designed to work perfectly all the time. When one part fails, everything fails. Human systems are different. We assume things will break, so we build multiple ways to fix them. She showed her tablet to the group. If we create a secondary energy pathway using adaptive alloys, we can route power around the broken crystal. The system won't be as efficient as before, but it will work. Jake nodded enthusiastically. It's like when you have a blocked artery. Doctors create a bypass so blood can still reach your heart. Captain Corvain looked at the humans like they were speaking a foreign language. You were talking about surgery on my ship's quantum drive. This is madness. Maybe, Jake admitted. But it's madness that might save your diplomatic mission. Ben was already sketching designs on his tablet. We'll need to fabricate custom connectors. The energy frequencies are way higher than anything we normally work with. I can modify our adaptive alloys to handle quantum fields, Amy said. It will take some time, but it's possible. Kate looked at Captain Corvain. We'll need one of your engineers to work with us. Someone who understands the quantum field interactions. The captain was quiet for a long moment. Jake could see him, struggling with the decision. His pride said that human technology was beneath him, but his duty said that the diplomatic mission was more important than his pride. I will assign Science Officer Kylix Zethmar to assist you, he said finally. But I want it understood that this is temporary. Once we reach a Zephyrian facility, we will remove all human modifications. Science Officer Zethmar arrived 30 minutes later. She was smaller than Captain Corvain, with blue-tinted scales and large silver eyes. Unlike the captain, she seemed curious about human technology rather than disgusted by it. Show me what you plan to do, she said in perfect English. Ben spread out his designs on a table. We're going to create a network of adaptive pathways around the broken crystal. The alloys will adjust their molecular structure to match the quantum field requirements. Zethmar studied the plans carefully. This is very different from our approach. We design systems to be perfect from the beginning. You design them to be fixable when they break. Exactly, Amy said. We call it robust engineering. It's not as elegant as your technology, but it's harder to break completely. Zethmar picked up one of the adaptive alloy samples. This material can really change its properties on command? Kate demonstrated by running an electrical current through the alloy. The metal changed from silver to gold to copper, adapting its conductivity to match the current. Fascinating, Zethmar whispered. We have never considered materials that can change themselves. All of our technology is fixed in its properties. Over the next 12 hours, the team worked together to build the bypass system. It was not easy. Human tools were too rough for Zephyrian technology, and Zephyrian precision was too exact for human improvisation. But slowly, they found ways to make it work. Zethmar learned to appreciate human creativity. The humans learned to respect Zephyrian precision. By the end of the shift, they were working as a real team. When they finally installed the bypass system, everyone held their breath. Jake pressed the activation button, and the quantum drive hummed to life. Energy flowed around the broken crystal through the human-made pathways. Impossible, Captain Corvain said, staring at his ship's displays. The efficiency is only down by 12%. I expected it to be much worse. Jake smiled tiredly. Sometimes the best solution isn't the prettiest one. It's the one that works. Captain Corvain looked at the human engineer with new respect. Perhaps there is more to human technology than I realized. 3 weeks after the Stellar Dominion left Meridian Station, Jake Murphy was fixing a cargo hauler's engine when Danny Rodriguez burst into the workshop with exciting news. "Boss, you need to see this," Danny said, waving a communication pad. "We just got 12 new requests for repairs, all from aliens." Jake put down his wrench and looked at the list. There were names he had never heard before. The Crystalline Hegemony wanted to dock their city ship. The Hive Collective was sending a biovessel. Even the mysterious ethereal ascendancy had contacted them. "How did they all hear about us?" Jake asked. "Captain Corvain has been talking," Lisa Grant said as she joined them in the workshop. "He told other alien captains about what we did for his ship. Now everyone wants to see human repair methods." The first ship to arrive was from the Crystalline Hegemony. It was called the Pure Light, and it looked like a giant diamond floating in space. The ship was perfectly clear, and Jake could see the alien crew moving inside like fish in an aquarium. The crystalline beings were made of living glass. They moved slowly and spoke in musical tones that sounded like wind chimes. Their leader introduced herself as Harmonious Seventh Note. "We have heard of your repair abilities," she said, her voice tinkling like bells. "Our city ship has suffered damage that our methods cannot address." Jake and his team followed her inside the ship. Everything was made of crystal. The walls, the floors, even the furniture. It was beautiful but also fragile. Jake was afraid to touch anything. The problem was in the ship's main structure. A collision with space debris had created a crack that ran through 3 levels of the ship. The crystalline beings had tried to repair it with their standard methods, but the crack kept growing. "We use harmonic resonance to heal damaged crystal," Harmonious Seventh Note explained. "But this crack disrupts the harmonic flow. Our pure tones cannot penetrate the chaos." Rick Torres, one of Jake's best mechanics, studied the crack with his scanner. "The problem is that you're trying to heal it perfectly," he said. "But the damage is too chaotic for a perfect solution." "What do you suggest?" the crystal being asked. "Controlled chaos," Rick replied with a grin. "We're going to use small explosions to break the crack into smaller pieces. Then we'll fill the gaps with flexible sealant." The crystalline beings looked horrified. Nancy Park, the team's explosives expert, tried to reassure them. "Don't worry," she said. "We use this technique on human ships all the time. Sometimes you have to break something more before you can fix it properly." The repair process took 2 days. Nancy carefully placed tiny charges along the crack, breaking it into hundreds of small fractures. Then Rick and his team filled each fracture with a flexible polymer that could bend without breaking. When they finished, the ship looked different. Instead of perfect crystal, there were now visible lines running through the structure like veins, but the ship was stronger than before. "The harmonic flow is restored," Harmonious Seventh Note said with wonder. "But now it has variations, like a complex song instead of a single note. It is beautiful in a way we never considered." The next ship to arrive was even stranger. The Hive Collective vessel looked alive because it was alive. The bioship was made of grown tissue and bone, with organs that pumped fluids instead of engines that burned fuel. The collective consciousness that controlled the ship spoke through thousands of small creatures that moved like a living carpet. "Our ship body is sick," they said in unison. "It has a disease that our healing cannot cure." Dr. Helen Brooks was the station's medical officer. She had never treated an alien before, but she approached the bioship like a patient instead of a machine. "Tell me about the symptoms," she said, running medical scanners over the ship's hull. "The ship body cannot process nutrients properly," the collective replied. "The digestive organs are failing. We have tried all our healing methods, but nothing works." Helen studied the scan results for hours. Finally, she had an idea. "I think your ship has developed an autoimmune response. It's attacking its own digestive system because it thinks the nutrients are foreign invaders." The concept was new to the Hive Collective. In their society, everything worked together perfectly. The idea that a body might attack itself was frightening. "How do we heal this?" they asked. "We don't heal it," Helen explained. "We teach it to accept the nutrients again, like treating allergies in humans." The treatment was complex. Helen created a special mixture of nutrients that would slowly retrain the ship's immune system. She also introduced beneficial bacteria from human digestive systems to help process the nutrients. The Hive Collective was amazed when the treatment worked. "You have taught our ship body to accept diversity in its diet," they said. "This concept of controlled cooperation between different organisms is new to us." The most unusual visitor came last. The ethereal ascendancy rarely interacted with physical beings. They were creatures of pure energy who lived inside crystalline computers. Their representative appeared as a glowing figure inside a crystal matrix. "We are Luminous Prime," it said in a voice like static electricity. "Our computational matrix has suffered cascade failures. Our perfect order has been corrupted by chaos." Sam Johnson was the station's computer specialist. He looked at the alien's crystalline body with interest. "Show me the error patterns," he said, the energy being projected holographic displays showing the failures. Every time they tried to restore perfect order to their system, new chaos would appear somewhere else. "You're fighting the chaos instead of managing it," Sam explained. "In human computer systems, we use controlled randomness to prevent cascade failures." "Controlled randomness?" Luminous Prime asked. "This concept is alien to us. We seek perfect order in all things." Sam showed the energy being how human computers used random number generators and error correction systems. "We assume that errors will happen, so we build systems that can handle them gracefully." "You embrace imperfection as a feature, not a flaw," Luminous Prime said with what might have been amazement. "This is a profound philosophical difference." The repair took several days of careful programming. Sam introduced controlled chaos generators into the alien system, along with adaptive error correction protocols. The energy being was nervous about accepting imperfection into its perfect matrix. But when the modifications were complete, the cascade failures stopped. The system was more stable than it had ever been. "We have learned something important," Luminous Prime said. "Perfect order is fragile. Controlled disorder can be stronger." Word continued to spread throughout the galaxy. More alien ships arrived every week, bringing problems that their own perfect technologies could not solve. The humans at Meridian Station became famous for their ability to fix the unfixable. Captain Corvain returned after a month with other Zephyrian officers who wanted to see human repair methods for themselves. The proud warrior captain had become an unexpected ambassador for human ingenuity. "These humans do not just repair ships," he told his fellow Zephyrians. "They repair our understanding of what is possible." Jake watched from the observation deck as another alien ship approached the station. He smiled as he thought about how much had changed in just a few weeks. "Danny," he called to his assistant, "better order more coffee. I think we're going to be very busy." Professor Alan Price arrived at Meridian Station 6 months after the first alien repairs began. He was a smart man who studied alien technology for Earth's government. His job was to understand why so many alien species were coming to human repair stations. Jake Murphy found him in the station's library surrounded by data tablets and alien technical manuals. The professor was writing notes faster than Jake had ever seen anyone write. "This is incredible," Professor Price said, without looking up. "I've been studying these repair records for 3 days, and I'm seeing patterns that change everything we thought we knew about galactic technology." "What kind of patterns?" Jake asked, sitting down across from him. Professor Price showed him a chart on his tablet. "Look at this. Every major alien species designs their technology the same way. They make it perfect from the start. No backup systems, no redundancy, no way to adapt when something goes wrong." Jake nodded. "We noticed that too. When their stuff breaks, it really breaks." "But humans are different," the professor continued excitedly. "We design things to be fixable. We expect problems and plan for them. That's why your repair methods work so well on alien technology." The professor's research was interrupted when alarms started ringing throughout the station. Lisa Grant's voice came over the speakers. "All repair teams to Docking Bay 7. We have an emergency situation." Jake and Professor Price hurried to the docking bay. A ship unlike anything they had seen before was trying to dock. It looked like it was made of liquid light that kept changing colors and shapes. The being that came out of the ship was just as strange. It looked like a tall human made of glowing mist. When it spoke, its voice sounded like music mixed with whispers. "I am Whisper of Stars from the Ethereal Ascendancy," it said. "I bring greetings from Luminous Prime and a request for your wisdom." Jake remembered Luminous Prime from the previous month. "What can we help you with?" "We have a philosophical problem," Whisper of Stars explained. "Your repair methods have changed how we think about existence itself. We need to understand the human concept of controlled imperfection." Professor Price stepped forward. "I'd be happy to discuss this with you." For the next several hours, they talked about the differences between human and alien thinking. The ethereal being was fascinated by human philosophy. "Your species accepts that things will break," Whisper of Stars said. "You plan for failure. This is completely opposite to how we think." "That's because we learned that perfect systems are fragile," Professor Price explained. "If something can only work one way, it stops working as soon as anything changes." Jake added his own thoughts. "When I was a kid, my dad taught me to fix cars. He always said that a car that can't break down safely isn't really safe at all." Engineer Sam Johnson joined their conversation. He had been working with more ethereal beings who wanted to learn human computer methods. "I've been teaching them about redundant systems," Sam said. "The idea that having backup plans makes you stronger, not weaker." "This challenges our core beliefs," Whisper of Stars admitted. "We have always sought perfection in all things. The idea that imperfection might be superior is difficult to accept." Their discussion was interrupted by the arrival of another ship. This one belonged to the Zephyrian military, but it wasn't Captain Corvain's vessel. A new Zephyrian captain came aboard, accompanied by several engineers. "I am Captain Urex Blackscale," the newcomer announced. "I have come to see these human repair methods that everyone talks about." Unlike Captain Corvain, this Zephyrian seemed skeptical rather than desperate. He looked around the repair bay with obvious disapproval. "Your facilities are crude," Captain Blackscale said. "Your tools are primitive. I do not understand why civilized species come here for repairs." Jake decided to show rather than tell. "What kind of problem does your ship have?" "Our navigation system has developed minor errors," the captain replied. "Nothing that should require primitive human intervention." Kate Sullivan ran a diagnostic on the Zephyrian ship's navigation system. The results showed a complex cascade of small errors that were slowly getting worse. "Your system is too precise," Kate explained. "Every tiny error gets amplified because there's no tolerance built in. Eventually, these small errors will cause total system failure." "Impossible," Captain Blackscale said. "Zephyrian navigation systems are perfect." "Perfect for perfect conditions," Jake agreed. "But space isn't perfect. There's cosmic radiation, gravitational fluctuations, quantum uncertainty. Your system can't handle real-world conditions." To demonstrate, Jake's team installed a human-designed error correction system alongside the Zephyrian navigation computer. The human system wasn't as precise, but it could adapt to changing conditions. When they tested both systems together, the results were remarkable. The navigation accuracy actually improved because the human system compensated for the small errors that the Zephyrian system couldn't handle. Captain Blackscale stared at the test results for a long time. "This should not be possible," he said, quietly. "It's possible because we design for reality instead of perfection," Jake explained. "Perfect systems work great in perfect environments, but the universe isn't perfect." Professor Price was taking notes throughout the demonstration. "This is exactly what I've been documenting," he told the group. "Human technology isn't superior because it's more advanced. It's superior because it's more adaptable." Dr. Amy Foster arrived with her own research data. "I've been analyzing the modifications we've made to alien ships over the past 6 months. Every single modification improved the ship's performance under real-world conditions." "How is that possible?" Whisper of Stars asked. "Because alien technology is optimized for ideal conditions that don't exist in the real universe," Amy explained. "Human technology is optimized for the messy, unpredictable conditions that actually exist." Captain Maria Santos of the repair ship New Frontier had been listening to the conversation. She was an experienced captain who had seen many different types of technology. "I think I understand what's happening here," she said. We don't just fix ships, we fix problems. And sometimes the best way to fix a problem is to break it first and rebuild it better. Her words seemed to resonate with all the aliens present. Even Captain Blackscale nodded slowly. You are saying that destruction can be a form of creation, Whisper of Stars said thoughtfully. Controlled destruction, Maria corrected. We break things in controlled ways so we can rebuild them stronger. The conversation continued for hours. Aliens from different species shared their experiences with human repair methods. They all agreed that something fundamental had changed in their understanding of technology and problem-solving. Professor Price summarized their discussion. What we're seeing here is a clash between two different philosophies. Most alien species pursue perfection, but humans embrace imperfection as a path to resilience. And resilience is more valuable than perfection, Jake added, because the universe is always trying to break things. Captain Blackscale was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke in a voice much humbler than before. Perhaps Zephyrian technology could benefit from human perspective. I would like to learn more about these adaptive methods. As the various aliens began planning collaborative projects with human engineers, Jake realized that something bigger was happening. They weren't just fixing ships anymore. They were changing how the galaxy thought about technology, problems, and solutions. The human approach of planning for failure, building in redundancy, and embracing adaptability was spreading throughout known space, and it was making everyone's technology better, more reliable, and more capable of handling the unexpected challenges that the universe constantly presented. Professor Price looked up from his notes with excitement. We're witnessing the birth of a new technological philosophy, he said, one that might change the entire galaxy. 6 months after Professor Price's visit, Jake Murphy was training a group of Zephyrian engineers when the emergency alerts began screaming throughout Meridian Station. Lisa Grant's voice came over the speakers, but this time she sounded scared. All senior staff to the command center immediately. We have a galaxy-wide crisis. Jake left the Zephyrians with Danny Rodriguez and hurried to the command center. The main screen showed a map of local space, and something was very wrong. A huge red area was spreading between 3 major star systems. What are we looking at? Jake asked. Dr. Amy Foster pointed to the expanding red zone. It's a space anomaly unlike anything we've ever seen. It's tearing apart the fabric of space itself. The trade routes between the Centauri, Vega, and Altair systems are completely blocked. Admiral Jack Coleman appeared on the communication screen from Earth Fleet Headquarters. He looked tired and worried. The situation is worse than it appears. This anomaly is growing. If we can't stop it, it will cut off 1/3 of known space from the rest of the galaxy. Captain Corvain's image joined the call from his ship. The Zephyrian High Command has declared the area a total loss. They are evacuating all ships and waiting for the anomaly to burn itself out naturally. How long will that take? Lisa asked. Our scientists estimate 40 to 60 years, Corvain replied grimly. Professor Price had been studying the data streams. The traditional approach would be to avoid the anomaly and find alternate routes, but that would take decades and cost billions of credits. Jake stared at the swirling red mass on the screen. An idea was forming in his mind, but it was so crazy that he almost didn't say it out loud. What if we don't avoid it? He said finally. What if we fix it? Everyone in the command center turned to look at him. Admiral Coleman raised an eyebrow. Fix space itself? Jake, that's impossible. Is it? Jake asked. We've been fixing impossible things for months now. Maybe this is just another repair job. Dr. Amy Foster was already running calculations on her tablet. Theoretically, if we could create stable anchor points around the anomaly, we might be able to control its energy instead of letting it run wild. Whisper of Stars materialized in the command center as a hologram. The ethereal being had been monitoring the crisis from their dimensional space. The ethereal ascendancy has analyzed this anomaly, Whisper of Stars announced. It is caused by the collision of multiple dimensional barriers. The energy released is tearing holes between different levels of reality. Captain Blackscale's image appeared on another screen. The Zephyrian military is prepared to provide ships and personnel for any reasonable solution. Harmonious seventh note joined the call from the crystalline hegemony. Our harmonic resonance technology might be able to stabilize the dimensional barriers, but we would need anchor points, as the human suggested. The Hive Collective added their voice through thousands of small creatures speaking in unison. Our bioships can adapt to the chaotic energy fields, but they cannot survive alone in that environment. Jake looked around at all the alien representatives on the screens. So we have ethereal energy manipulation, Zephyrian precision technology, crystalline harmonic stabilization, and Hive Collective adaptation abilities, plus human engineering to hold it all together. Admiral Coleman was quiet for a moment. You're talking about the largest engineering project in galactic history. The coordination alone would be incredibly complex. That's why it needs to be a human-led project, Professor Price said. We're the only species that specializes in making different technologies work together. The plan they developed over the next 12 hours was ambitious beyond anything anyone had attempted before. Instead of trying to destroy the anomaly, they would transform it into something useful. Jake worked with teams from every major species to design a network of stabilization stations around the anomaly. Each station would use different alien technologies working together through human integration methods. The Zephyrian stations would use quantum field generators for precision control. The crystalline stations would provide harmonic stabilization through resonance fields. The ethereal stations would manipulate dimensional energy directly. The Hive Collective stations would adapt to changing conditions in real time, and human stations would coordinate everything using adaptive systems that could handle the chaos when things went wrong. Ben Carter led the design team for the integration systems. It's like building a musical instrument where every part is made by a different species, he explained to the mixed alien and human crews. Each part has to work with all the others, even though they're completely different. The construction took 3 months. Ships from dozens of species worked together in the most complex engineering project the galaxy had ever seen. There were problems every day. Zephyrian precision clashed with human improvisation. Crystalline perfection couldn't handle Hive Collective adaptation. Ethereal energy patterns interfered with quantum field generators. But every time something went wrong, the human engineers found a way to make it work. They built bridges between incompatible technologies. They created translation systems that let different species communicate their technical needs. They invented new ways to solve problems that nobody had ever faced before. Kate Sullivan summed up the human approach during one particularly difficult day. When you can't make something work perfectly, make it work anyway. Perfect is the enemy of good enough. The day finally came to activate the stabilization network. Representatives from every species gathered at Meridian Station to watch. Jake stood at the main control panel, surrounded by alien engineers who had become his friends and colleagues. Remember, he told the team, this probably won't work perfectly the first time. Be ready to adapt. He pressed the activation button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then energy began flowing between the stabilization stations. The chaotic red mass of the anomaly started to change. Instead of wild, destructive energy, it became organized, controlled, stable. The transformation took 6 hours. When it was complete, the anomaly had become something completely new. Instead of a barrier that blocked travel, it had become a gateway that made travel faster. Incredible, Admiral Coleman said, studying the readings. The energy field is actually accelerating ships that pass through it. You've turned a disaster into the fastest transportation route in the galaxy. Captain Corvain looked at the displays with amazement. Travel time between the 3 systems has been reduced from weeks to days. This will change everything. Dr. Amy Foster was taking measurements from every instrument she had. The energy output is stable, the dimensional barriers are secure, and the field strength is actually increasing. It's not just working, it's working better than we hoped. Jake smiled as he watched ships from different species already beginning to use the new gateway. The project had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams, but more importantly, it had proven something. We did something impossible, he said to the mixed group of humans and aliens around him. Not because any one species was smart enough to do it alone, but because we worked together and refused to give up when things got difficult. Whisper of Stars spoke for all the aliens present. Humans have taught us that the best solutions come not from perfection, but from persistence. Not from individual excellence, but from cooperative adaptation. The success of the Anomaly project led to the establishment of the Galactic Repair Consortium, with human-led stations throughout known space. The motto they adopted became famous across the galaxy. If it's broken, we'll fix it. If it's not broken, we'll make it better. But Jake preferred the simpler version that his team used every day. There's always a way to make it work. As he watched another mixed crew of humans and aliens work together to solve an impossible problem, Jake realized that they hadn't just fixed an anomaly. They had fixed the galaxy's approach to problems themselves, and that was the most important repair of all.